Tonight on Reporting Scotland. The police watchdog has criticised the response of officers after a man was found dead in his van 2 days after police were alerted about concerns. Don't be scammed. Warnings to beware of online fraudsters offering fake caravan holidays.
My youngest was devastated. She was really upset, crying for ages. She just couldn't get to grips with why somebody would do that.
Also on the programme. Inspired and enthusiastic and fuelled by last night's win, the Scottish faithful head for Slovenia, the World Cup playoffs with insight. And the real Carnegie Hall in Dunfermline celebrates its 80th birthday. Good evening. The police watchdog says important lessons must be learned after a man's body was found in his van by officers 2 days after members of the public reported an abandoned vehicle in a lay-by. It was December last year when David Penman was found dead in the driver's seat of the works van, which was parked near Dunipace. The report from the Police Investigations and Review Commissioner says there were failings in the way the force responded. Our Home Affairs correspondent Rival Alderson reports.
46-year-old David Penman was found dead in his van, parked on a lonely country road in Stirlingshire last December. He'd suffered carbon monoxide poisoning in the van, which had been there for several days. During that time, members of the public had made a number of calls to police reporting the apparently abandoned van. The first was on December the 13th. The caller was concerned it was stolen. Police verified it wasn't, but did no more. The next day, another caller reported similar concerns. The same officer took the call and linked it to the first one, but again took no action. It was only on December the 15th that police finally went to the lay-by after a call about a suspicious lorry. They didn't find it, but checked Mr. Penman's van and found him dead. The Crown Office asked independent investigators to review the incident, and their report calls for police to learn lessons.
It's obviously impossible for the police to respond to every report of an abandoned vehicle or a suspicious vehicle. But what we're saying is, when members of the public express concerns, undertake a bit more inquiry to establish the facts. In this instance, on the second occasion that a member of the public phones in reporting concerns, it'd be reasonable for the police to do a bit more.
The calls about Mr. Penman's van were received here in the police area control room at Bilston Glen. It's the same control room which was at the centre of the scandal in which Lamara Bell and John Ewell died in a crashed vehicle beside the M9 after police failed for 3 days to send officers. After that, Her Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary issued 30 recommendations for police to improve the way they deal with calls, and senior officers say they've implemented most of them.
It's been recognised in the Commissioner's report today, and indeed by HMICS, that it's not reasonable to expect us to attend every single report of a vehicle that's been abandoned. And in the vast majority of cases, these calls are resolved satisfactorily. But we could have dealt better with the report this time.
In a statement, David Penman's family said it couldn't be determined whether he'd have been found alive if police had acted earlier. But they said the report highlighted important lessons for police dealing with similar incidents in the future. Rival Alderson reporting Scotland.
Police are warning holidaymakers to protect themselves from falling victim to the growing number of fraudsters selling caravan breaks online. Now, to learn you have cancer can be devastating news, but how do you also cope with being told the treatment might stop you having children? Still game. Fuelled by last night's late-winning goal against Slovakia, Scotland's faithful are looking for victory against Slovenia on Sunday. Scotland's Conservative MPs say they're 100% behind the Prime Minister as Theresa May attempted once again to stabilise her premiership. Mrs May broke off from a constituency event to reassert her authority after news of a possible leadership challenge emerged. Our political correspondent Andrew Kerr joins us now. Andrew, it seems there's been a firm show of support from the Tories in Scotland.
Yes, Sally, that's right. All 13 Conservative MPs in Scotland backing the beleaguered Mrs May, not one coming out to speak out against her. As you say, Mrs May has been attempting to stamp her authority on the party. In a rather panicky interview, she said she was providing calm leadership. That move coming after Grant Shapps, the former party chairman, said up to 30 Conservative MPs, including 5 former cabinet ministers, were ready to move against her and say that she should go. Now, some Conservative MPs said Mr Shapps should shut up. The Scottish Tories were a little bit more polite and said that Mrs May should stay and continue those crucial Brexit negotiations.
Everyone is behind the Prime Minister. We want to see her do well because we're going through an extraordinary time in British politics where we are, no precedent for leaving the European Union. These are not dress rehearsal negotiations. This is the real deal. We need to make sure we get them right, and the country needs calm and stability right now so we can get that good deal. And more than that, the people don't want this.
Now, it's important to remember that 12 out of the 13 MPs are newbies. They came in under the leadership of Mrs May in the June general election. They perhaps don't want to rock the boat. The Prime Minister, I suppose, has to get through the weekend, all the newspaper and TV coverage on Sunday, and then another big deal on Wednesday when she has to stand up in front of a packed House of Commons in Prime Minister's questions.
Andrew, changing tack, the SNP are the last of the major Westminster parties to hold their conference. That starts on Sunday. What can we expect?
Yes, Sally, that conference taking place just across the river behind me here in Glasgow. It's the first conference since the party lost just over a third of their MPs in that general election in June. The leadership says yes, it was a setback, but they say they're not on the back foot. The party is in fine fettle, so they'll be debating Brexit, public sector pay, and of course talking about independence too. Of course saying that they'll come back to Parliament when a Brexit deal is a bit clearer. So they do say they're in fine fettle at the moment. Of course, perhaps a little nervous after the chaotic Conservative conference that we saw just in the past week. They say don't worry about intruders. The Keith Brown, the Economy Secretary, is a former Royal Marine. He'll be on stage to protect the First Minister. Thank you very much, Andrew. A 31-year-old man has been arrested in connection with the rape of a 22-year-old man in Glasgow last month. Scotland's historic sites have enjoyed a record-breaking year for visitors. A week-long campaign to encourage girls to make sport part of their lives in their teenage years and beyond reached its climax today. Scotland's Carnegie Hall celebrates its 80th birthday today with an exhibition and a fortnight of activities. Now, a reminder of tonight's main news. Police Scotland have been criticised after a van with a driver who died from carbon and monoxide poisoning wasn't attended to for 3 days. And that's all from Reporting Scotland for now. I'll be back with the headlines at 8 and the late bulletin just after the 10 o'clock news.